let's look at how to configure your course for standards-based grading in Canvas. I have an example course here that we'll use for today's tutorial. So the first thing we want to do is just click into the course. From here, I'm going to go into settings because there's a couple of things we want to check and make sure of before we move on. So under settings, the first thing I want to make sure of is that my sub-account for Eufaula Elementary School is actually Eufaula Elementary School :SBG, which stands for Standards-Based Grading. So I'm going to select that one. A little bit further down, you see we have the options here for grading scheme. You may need to check the box to enable the course grading scheme, and then let's view the grading scheme that you have. You want to be sure that you have this 4-point scale as your grading scheme. If not, you may need to select another scheme here and switch over to the 4-point scale by clicking and then saying use this grading scale and click done. And then at the very bottom, click Update Course Details. It lets us know that our course has been successfully updated. So once we have our settings taken care of, the next part is going to be getting our standards brought into the course, which Canvas refers to as outcomes. So I'm going to click here for outcomes. You can see I've already brought in my ELA outcomes here, but I want to bring in some more. So I'm going to click the Find button and follow this trail until I find the folder of standards that I want. So let's say this is for 3rd grade math. I could just click that folder for 3rd math instead of having to bring in each standard individually. By scrolling down here, click Import. It's asking me if I want to bring this whole 3rd grade math group into this course. So I say, okay. And it may take it a minute to bring those in there. And now my math standards are in there as well. So to see that again, the way I did that is I am looking at my outcomes page inside my course, click Find, click the class that you're going to want. Let's say now we want our 3rd grade science. Click Import and OK. So now I have my ELA, my math, and my science standards all associated with this course. So let's look at how the outcomes are set up in Canvas. For example's sake, we will look at an ELA standard in the language category. So this outcome is called Conventions of Standard English. You can see here that this lets us know that this particular outcome covers standards 37 and 38 of the course of study. Also, you can see that we've already built in the rubric for you based on the language that the elementary school identified at the standards-based grading training this summer. And mastery has been set at 3. Just so everybody understands what decaying average means, this is the calculation method chosen. So it just means that the most recent attempt on a particular outcome is weighted at 65% and all of the previous attempts are calculated at 35%. Phase 1 was modifying the settings of our course. Phase 2 was bringing in the outcomes of our course. Phase 3 is going to involve actually applying those outcomes to a student product, such as an assignment or a quiz. So for today's example, let's pretend we are doing an assignment. So I click on assignments, and just as you normally would, I'm going to click on plus assignment, and I give my assignment a name. I'm just going to call this daily work for ELA. As you know, in this box, this is where I may choose to embed a YouTube video. I could bring in something from my Google Drive using here. I could type in a description of the assignment. I might choose to bring in a file from my course that's already housed in Canvas. So once I'm happy with those settings, this is where work gets tricky and very important for standards-based grading. You want to always leave your points set to 0. Choose your assignment group if your school is using assignment groups this year. And you want to always choose to display the grade as complete or incomplete. This is the key in keeping confusion to a minimum for parents so that they're not seeing a percentage out of 100 in addition to a 1, 2, 3, or 4. So once you've done that and you have assigned a due date, because we know that's what associates a grading period with the assignment, go ahead and save and publish that assignment. At this point, you see here that you have the option to add a rubric. So here I'm going to hit Add Rubric. Since my rubrics were already built for me with the outcomes built in, I hit Find Outcome. Here are my standards. This part should look familiar. So let's say I bring in that same conventions of standard English outcome. I hit import and it's built my 1, 2, 3, 4 for me there. Now it does default to always build this base of a rubric for you, but you can get rid of that all in one fell swoop by clicking the trash can right there. If you want to add anything here, you can do that. And then hit Create Rubric. So this is now associated with this assignment. Alright, so we've created our assignment. So at this point we're going to pretend that enough time has passed that our students would have had a chance to actually complete the assignment. So at that point I would come back into the assignment and choose my speed grader option here in the top right. This is showing me my students here, so if Harry Potter had completed this, I would choose complete. And then in order to grade him using the rubric, I'm going to click View Rubric. And I have my own little scroll bar down here at the bottom to view my rubric. So we can say, let's say that Harry scored a 3. I click a 3, I click Save, and I'm done. That's all I have to do. So when I go into the gradebook for this course, it does now default to Learning Mastery because we turned that on earlier in settings when we chose our sub-account. Doesn't mean that you can't go back and look at the traditional view. By clicking grades, this takes me back to my traditional view. You see for my student, you see a series of check marks. There would be X's if there was something that he had not completed. But since he has completed it all, the student has check marks for everything. Okay, so when we go back to our Learning Mastery view, this is where we see by standard how our students are performing. And you can see the legend over here that's telling us what each of the colors stands for. So the one that our example assignment earlier assessed, it was Conventions of Standard English. This lets us know that our student Harry is near mastery because he's lit up orange with a 2.9 out of 3.